It was a new beginning, a world washed clean by the waters of judgment and sealed with a promise of mercy, the rainbow. Humanity was given a second chance, a fresh start through one faithful man, Noah, and his family. The command was the same one given to Adam in the beginning: be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. God's intention was for humanity to spread out, to form nations and cultures across the face of the globe, all living under his covenant of mercy. But the flood, while it cleansed the world of wicked people, did not cleanse the sin from the human heart. The same pride that led to the fall, the same self-reliance that motivated Cain, had survived the flood, carried in the hearts of the passengers on the ark. And it would not take long for that pride to build its own monument of defiance. As Noah's descendants multiplied, they journeyed from the east and found a wide, fertile plain in a land called Shinar, and there they settled. But they did not just settle, they congregated. They remembered the flood, but they learned the wrong lesson. Instead of trusting in God's promise, the rainbow, they decided to trust in their own strength and unity to save themselves from being scattered. The Bible tells us they had a single language and a common speech. Their unity, which should have been a gift used for God's glory, was about to be weaponized against him. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had discovered new technology, a new power to shape the world to their will. They had brick for stone and tar for mortar. They were becoming masters of their environment. And with this newfound power came a monumental ambition, a goal born of both fear and pride. They declared, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Let us break down this declaration, for in it lies the very heart of their rebellion. First, let us build ourselves a city. This was a direct act of disobedience. God had commanded them to fill the earth, but they chose to cluster together, to create a single center of human power in defiance of his will. Second, a tower that reaches to the heavens. This was more than just a tall building. It was a man-made mountain, a ziggurat, a stairway to heaven built by human hands. It was an act of supreme arrogance, an attempt to ascend to God on their own terms, to eliminate their need for him. And finally, the motive, so that we may make a name for ourselves. This is the sin of Lucifer, the sin of Cain, echoing once again. They were not interested in exalting God's name, but their own. They sought glory, fame, and a legacy built on human achievement. Their unity was not for the worship of God, but for the worship of man. And so they began to build. The plains of Shinar echoed with the sounds of industry. It was a marvel of human cooperation and engineering. Day by day, the tower grew, a testament to their skill and a monument to their pride. It cast a long shadow over the plain, a shadow of defiance against the God who had given them life and a new world. They believed their unity made them invincible. They believed their technology made them self-sufficient. They believed their tower would make them immortal, securing their name for all time. They had created their own salvation project, a system built to provide security and significance apart from their creator. And God watched. From the heavens, he observed their city and their tower. The Bible tells us in a moment of profound, almost ironic understatement, "But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the people were building." This was not a journey of discovery for an all-knowing God. It was a judicial inspection. It was the righteous judge descending to examine the evidence of humanity's unified rebellion. He saw their work. He saw their pride, and he saw the terrifying potential of their sinful unity. If this was what they could accomplish in their rebellion now, what would they be capable of next? Their unity was not leading them to greater good, but was accelerating their journey into deeper and more organized evil. And the Lord looked upon the people and their work, and he said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." This was not a statement of admiration, but a diagnosis of their limitless capacity for rebellion. And then, echoing the divine counsel at creation, God said, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." Suddenly, a strange energy seems to sweep over the construction site. A bricklayer shouts an instruction, but the man next to him hears only gibberish. He responds in a language the first man cannot understand. Confusion turns to frustration, then to anger and suspicion. The visuals show the rapid breakdown of all cooperation. The music becomes chaotic and dissonant. In an instant, the very tool of their unified pride, their single language, became the instrument of their downfall. The builder's call became a foreign tongue. The architect's plan became an unreadable script. Communication shattered. The harmony of cooperation descended into a cacophony of confusion. Trust evaporated, replaced by suspicion and fear. How can you work with a man you can no longer understand? The project born of unity was destroyed by divinely created disunity. The construction ground to a halt. The hammers fell silent. It was an act of incredible power, a judgment that was also a strange and profound mercy. By confusing their language, God put a brake on the runaway train of human sin, preventing them from falling into an even deeper, more unified state of rebellion. And so, the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. Through his judgment, God accomplished his original command. Humanity was now scattered, filling the earth as he had always intended. The pride of man had been humbled. Their attempt to build a unified kingdom without God had ended in fragmentation and chaos. The world was now a tapestry of different nations and tongues, often marked by misunderstanding and conflict. This event raises a critical question. God had promised a Savior who would bless all families of the earth. How could this promise be fulfilled now that the earth was so divided? How could a single Redeemer unite a world that was so profoundly scattered? Humanity's plan had failed. It was now time for God to reveal his. He would not work through a proud and unified civilization. Instead, he would choose one man from one family in one of these scattered nations, and through him, he would begin to build a new nation of his own, a nation through which the promised Savior would finally come. The age of universal direct revelation was over. The age of the covenant promise was about to begin.